Good evening, I'm Damien of the Virtual Pub Project, but you probably already knew that. I am sat here in the pub during lockdown enjoying, as many of you are probably, a nice bit of toast. Isn't it odd, the English language, that toast meaning a semi-burnt piece of bread and to give a toast at a wedding has the same name? Or is it? So, today's video is on the history of the toast. And why on earth did we give it the name toast? It's the same as the bread thing that I was eating at the start of the video. So, where do we get the concept of toasting from? Well, we've got to go back a fair few hundred, even a few thousand years for this one. There's a couple different origin stories that people suggest are true. Not necessarily. And then there's one that we know is definitely true, which is where we get the name toast from. So, where does this all come from? Well, the concept of honouring someone with an alcoholic beverage, so like we do at a wedding, where we raise a glass to the bride or groom, or potentially at a funeral or anything like that, comes from the ancient Greeks, supposedly. So we know that the ancient Greeks enjoyed a little bit of booze, as many ancient cultures, and indeed modern cultures, definitely do. So, where does this come from? Well, they would have these great feasting parties, that we all know of, the vomitoriums, where they would eat and enjoy the sensation of eating, and they'd make themselves throw up, so they do that. But they also did this with drink as well. They would drink and drink and drink and drink, and praise the gods with their drinking. Now, where this comes into the toasting, is it was traditional there, that when you were drinking your wine, or whatever it was you were drinking, you would have a swig, and then you'd chuck a little bit over there. And that was a gift to the gods. You would give that to the gods to say, you know, we love you, here's our appreciation for you, have a little bit of booze on us. And this is a tradition we see in folklore throughout history. So, slightly more modern times, Victorian era, when men were going down into the mines, they would often, you know, they would eat the Cornish pasty. We're all about the Cornish pasty. And it would be tradition to finish a pasty and throw the crust into the mines. And that wasn't because they were lazy and they didn't want to take it up to throw it away upstairs. That was to keep the fairies and the knockers that lived in the mines all happy. And it's that same sort of folklore concept of we've got to give a little bit to our gods to keep them happy and to get a good harvest next year and all these sorts of things. So that is potentially where the concept of, you know, this sort of toasting comes from, honouring the gods with our drink. A bit later on, potentially again the Victorian period, I think probably more the medieval period, we get a rumour emerge of what a lot of people will say is the origin of toasting, where you would raise your tankard and you would chink the glass or the tankard of the Jap next to you. This is to stop poisoning. So the theory goes is that people would chink their glasses, you would spill a little bit of your beer into their glass, and they would spill a little bit of their beer into your glass. And thus you knew that if they had poisoned your drink, they were now poisoned with their drink, and you would both sort of look at each other and slowly drink, and if none of you died, then happy days. But if you died, you knew he was going to die as well, because you just poisoned each other's drinks, basically. Actually, no historical evidence of this, despite the concept showing up in all sorts of novels and writings and all these sorts of things. There isn't actually any historical evidence that it actually happened. What we do have, though, is a lovely young lady in the Victorian period who liked to throw grand parties for the gentry and all that, don't you know, pip pip. And she had a habit of bringing out rather bland wine. But the reason that she would do that is she would also lay out a large selection of spices. So you could spice your wine and flavour it in the way that you liked personally. How would you do that? You would take a piece of toasted bread, mixed up with your spices, and you would dip it in your drink and swill it round, and you would flavour your drink. And whilst you were doing that, you would talk to your host and say, ladies and gentlemen, may we raise a toast to our host, whilst you were dipping that in. And often it was customary, you'd munch on the toast afterwards as well, but that was how you flavoured your wine. So this concept of why do we use the same word for toast, a delicious piece of toasted bread, and to toast someone at a wedding or a funeral or whatever the occasion may be, it is simply because we used to use toast in the concept of toasting. Now, I know there are, in the modern day, quite amusingly, still some societies of toast. And these are societies that will meet up, drink wine, dip their toast in it, and say toasts. Normally they toast to toast, because what else are you going to toast to when you're a toasting society? So that is where we get the concept toast and toasting. Bonus fact, if you are giving a toast at a wedding or a whatever, your official title is Toastmaster. That is the official Oxford Dictionary. You are the Toastmaster, which I think is just the most brilliant name ever. You know, oh, hello, friend of the bride, friend of the grooms. Actually, I'm the Toastmaster. Just absolutely glorious, funny name to me. So yeah, that is a very brief history of the wording of toast. Please give this video a like, please give it a share, check out the coffee link, and hopefully we will see you soon. See you later.